I want to begin by thanking everybody for the encouragement that you've been giving me as I'm figuring out this whole YouTube thing little by little. And maybe you noticed that the quality of the appearance of my videos, such as the lighting, editing, and just overall look of the videos, has taken a massive leap forward. A lot of people did notice that, and they asked me to make a resource showing them what I did to improve my videos. However, I don't feel like an expert yet, so I won't be making that resource until I feel completely comfortable with the process. However, if you're curious about how I made my videos go from this to this, because obviously they look a lot better, comment below and I will consider making a quick tutorial showing you how I improved the look of my videos by making a few adjustments to how I was lighting and editing the videos. So that said, today's video is going to be about loneliness as an entrepreneur, which is a topic that we've been discussing. And since I have decided to bring back to life this old community on Facebook that I inherited that has over 40,000 freedom seeking entrepreneurs in it. I decided to start talking about the experience of being a creative entrepreneur as well as identifying with the idea of being enlightened. And I've been asking people what they think enlightened means, and there's been some really interesting answers to that. But what I personally believe it means to be enlightened is simply to be self aware and aware of a higher power and greater purpose for our lives than just, sitting at a desk, phoning it in on the 9 to 5, running on the hamster wheel, paying taxes, and dying. If you are somebody who is both freedom valuing and freedom orienting, meaning you are looking to create freedom in your life so you do not have to follow the conventional subscription, then I would consider you an enlightened individual. There's a lot of people who live their lives with their head in the sand, kind of lacking the awareness, not really questioning what it all means, and just phoning it in, going through the motions. But more and more people are waking up and becoming enlightened to the fact that this ain't it, that there is so much more that we are meant to experience in this life. And whether they are just working at it or they've already successfully done it, like myself, there are so many people out there looking to claim the freedom we are promised by God by becoming more self sufficient, but not only self sufficient, but making things with our own gifts and talents to contribute to the world. And if you're a spiritual individual like me, you may also believe that you have a higher purpose or calling, something that you're meant to be doing with this life, that your soul came here for a reason. Now, I know not everybody subscribes to that, and I can speak to being kind of unaware of that component of entrepreneurship, freedom seeking, being a creative, because even before I was like really fully spiritual per se or had really established any sense of faith, I still knew that there was something about me that made it impossible for me to be content in a conventional employment situation. We've talked in other videos about some of the challenges that creative entrepreneurs have, or just creative individuals. Maybe they don't even realize that they're entrepreneurs, that creative individuals tend to have when they have to work in, the conventional employment structures. And it's challenging. I feel really empathetic towards anybody who feels frustrated with how they have had to go about compromising themselves in order to feed their family and keep a roof over their head. If they're doing something that they don't feel excited to do or fulfilled by, and they are self aware enough to know that, well, if you've never experienced it, you don't know. But if you've experienced it, you know that it's like a certain form of torture. We really are constricted to the confines of needing to do certain things, obviously, to feed ourselves and take care of ourselves, but how that requires us to often compromise our own authenticity. Once you become aware of that, it can be incredibly frustrating. And I would go as far as saying that that's one of the things that contributes to the epidemic of depression and anxiety that a lot of people suffer from, that we're always being told, mental health matters and self care. And if you're feeling this way, then you should go talk to somebody. The problem is, and I don't think enough people say this, what they describe as being a chemical imbalance causing depression is not always the case for everyone. A lot of times, what people are experiencing is an awareness of the injustice that is the current societal structure that we must all participate in. And these social hierarchies and social normalities that require a lot of us to be, dare I say, performative or wear masks or suppress certain desires, certain characteristics of ourselves, become a more palatable person to function and cooperate and exist in these limited experiences. So when you're inside of that, you're either feeling really frustrated and angst filled and often nihilistic about the truth that is your life, that you are stuck, or you're working very hard to claim your freedom, to leave that situation and that existence and do something more creatively fulfilling, but also more spiritually fulfilling. And this pursuit, very noble pursuit, is something that's very difficult for people who are not doing that to relate to or understand. Like, I do believe that there is a direct connection between being enlightened or awake and feeling the urge to pursue your freedom through your spiritual or creative gifts in order to exit these conventional structures. There is very few people out there, really, if you look at the percentages of those who identify as being entrepreneurial, there's very few people out there who are even willing to attempt to make that escape. And so, if that is you and you feel lonely and isolated while doing that, just know that what you are doing sets you apart. It's not the path that is commonly followed by everyone. And when you choose to leave the assembly line of life, it's like a machine, right? You come in out of high school and you follow these different steps, and it's like you're supposed to do this and this and this all at these different points in time. And you may see, that's not the life I want. I want to live more freely. If you choose to do that, you're already setting yourself apart from the average individual, and that can make you feel very lonely. I'd like to suggest also that we need each other. Like, if you identify as being this freedom seeking individual, we need each other, all of us who feel that way, to have a certain compassion and self awareness for one another. It shouldn't be a competitive me versus them, or there's only so many who are going to make it kind of mental worldview of this. Because although, of course, it's going to be lonely regardless, because it is not the common path, if you other yourself from others who are also following unconventional paths, then you're making it even more difficult for yourself to feel included in humanity. I don't know how else to say it. Like, I do think the entrepreneurial type who maybe hasn't addressed some of their own confidence and personal issues and they are pursuing entrepreneurship, they may feel defensive or protective because what they've experienced up until that point, perhaps being somebody who has been weird or odd or different their entire lives, they may feel like it's them against the world. But really, there's so many of us that if we viewed ourselves as inclusive, at least to each other, then that thought that I'm alone completely in what I'm experiencing can be removed from the equation. And often that is a negative story we tell ourselves that blocks us from actually growing successful businesses. Because in order to use our creative talents to pursue our freedom, we must become entrepreneurs. We must, in some way, start small or large visionary businesses, depending on who you are. But within that spectrum of what you are trying to achieve, what your goals are, you know that the reason why you're choosing to be an entrepreneur is not because you woke up one day and were like, I want to, participate in capitalism and be successful as a capitalist. You may, but most of us start on this path just wanting to see if it's even possible to escape conventional life, to exit that subscribed existence and enter into something where we have more freedom and more control. And so we all have that in common. And the idea that no one will understand us, well, yes, it's true. You may not know the 10 people in your neighborhood who understand, but in the grand scale of the human population, there are many of us who have come to these realizations on our own path, and we are all in this together. So I highly recommend that anybody who identifies with feeling lonely in their pursuit of freedom, in their attempt to utilize themselves, their creative talents, the things that they imagine, the things that they can physically do, skills that they have acquired, ideas that they are trying to bring forward, I highly recommend that you do the work to let go of this it's me against the world mentality. And I tell you this remembering how it felt when my business, my agency, began to scale beyond my wildest dreams. What happened there when I started reaching those 10K month milestones, when I got my studio, when I hired my first full time employee? What happened there was a direct response to my decision to include other people in my business. Now, I was very naive employing people for the first time. My experience having business partnerships was non existent. I was figuring it out as I went. But I can directly correlate collaboration with others to the big leaps forward that allowed me to be very successful as an agency owner. And I'll tell you more of the specifics of the story and how that evolved in a future video. However, I want to just encourage people to be more open and collaborative because oftentimes what happens is, even when you are successful, you reach a capacity of what you're able to actually do on your own. When I had strategic business partnerships, it allowed me to have other people out there talking about my work, referring my business, and I was compensating them to refer me. And we were building packages that included my services inside of their businesses in order to create abundance for both parties. Networking, building bonds and strong relationships with other people who have similar goals and interests as you is the secret to quick scaling and exceeding your own capacity. If I was to go back, because I did end up burning myself out in my pursuits, not having a great sense of balance. But even if I could go back, I would still do that, and I would do it sooner, and I would do it with more people involved now, because even back then I was so protective of my little thing, my world that I had built, and the income I had coming in, and my clients, and my audience on social media, and all of these things that I had collected for myself as assets. I was so afraid of losing those to other people. It took me a very long time to even admit that I couldn't do it alone or that I needed help. So that is both my biggest regret and also the one thing that I know I can 100% credit my business's growth to is my willingness to work with other people, let them in, teach them things, show them things, allow them to contribute, accept feedback, and begin to grow businesses that supported not just myself, but other people's interests and their families as well. Because that's how we create economy. You cannot create an economy in isolation. And therefore, one individual can only get so far building a business that is completely a solo venture. And there are always other people contributing to your business, even if you aren't partnering or employing people. Even if you are not doing that, other people are resources to you. Other people can give you feedback and provide you with valuable insight on your blind spots so you can create things that other people can understand and want. If the mentality that you hold because you feel like no one understands you is that you're lonely, you're 100% an original, so special, so unique, no one could ever possibly understand. If you cling to the belief that you have to bulldog this whole thing alone, one of two things is going to happen. Either one, you are going to reach a personal capacity, meaning you're working yourself so hard, you're going to get burnt out, you're going to begin to resent your business, your venture, and things are going to start to fall apart in one way or another, either your physical health, your mental health, or the business itself as you respond to that. Or two, you will reach such a physical overwhelm where there's just too much work that you physically cannot do it yourself, that you are going to be pushed to the point where you have to confront these beliefs and let other people in. And if you're not open to it, then you're going to be meeting that with resistance the entire way. And that may make you a difficult person to work with and not exactly somebody that other people want to support. So you're either reaching a mental capacity or a physical capacity at some point. So this is why I really feel that it's important we work on whatever wounds we have, whether it be concerns that are legitimate because of information from the past, experiences you previously had, so you're still making current decisions with old information, or it's a made up belief, it's just what you have come to expect because so far on your journey, you haven't had any help or support. We need each other. There's not as many people out there as there really should be trying to claim their freedom, and we need one another, honestly, as resources. Networking, collaborating, contributing, assisting, mentoring, supporting, coaching, and trying our best not to gatekeep things is a beneficial practice to anybody who wishes to have abundance and expansion in their work. I am here to just share my own experience and encourage others in what I've learned. I'm not here to say that you will let people in and they won't disappoint you. But I am here to say that you need to be open to letting people in and trust that you have enough intuitive wisdom and that your instincts are good, that you can read people and that you'll be able to choose the right people to invite into your world to help you build your vision. Personally, I found the best way to go about that is to keep an open mind and not assume that everybody has nefarious intentions. To not assume that people want to take from you all of the time, or that everybody is trying to add more obstacles or blocks to your success. I try to maintain a belief that people are generally supportive and generally want to have me succeed. Maybe that is naive because perhaps that's not true. Perhaps there are people watching who want to see me fall on my face and fail. But it's not my business to spend my mental energy thinking about that. And for my own health, wellness, and pursuit of my goals, I need to believe that there's other people out there who are supportive of me. So, if you're thinking, I would love to meet some of these good people, then I want to encourage you to join the Enlightened Entrepreneurs Facebook group. It is full of like minded individuals who all identify as being enlightened, therefore self aware. And I think you'll be in good company. If what I've said in this video has enticed you to maybe open your mind to the potential and possibility of collaborating and building community with others, then I would love to see you in that community because that's who we need in that community. People who do not think in scarcity, but instead think as a set state in abundance and who understand the very specific experience of what it is like to be, that one in a thousand who is trying to make things happen, who are trying to pursue different creative entrepreneurial endeavors. So if you're looking for those people, I invite you into my community. We have a please pour in before you take out kind of philosophy. So, what that means is as long as you are contributing and utilizing the community in a collaborative way, then it's relatively free range to talk about your business, to get advice, get feedback, share what you're working on, even full on promote. And we are actively removing people who do not share that and who do not value that as being an important component of having this type of group. So it's going really well. There's really great energy, and I'd love to invite you to come and contribute some of your energy to it. Thank you so much for watching until the end. I hope you have a great week. Take care of yourselves.